Congratulations.
Thank you, darling. How are you?
Good. You almost sounded Australian there, the way you said darling. I love that.
Oh, I was just doing my vocal warm-up, so I'm a little all over the place. Look at us matching today.
I know. It's so funny. It must be something in the universe. I've done a couple of interviews today and everyone seems to be wearing, bright colors.
Huh, that's that Tuesday vibe. We're recording Middlemost in a few hours, and I always have like just a lot of coffee on these days. So I was looking through my closet, like, in a tall tee right before this. I was like, I should put on something fun. And here we are.
Fabulous. And I love the rainbow in the background.
Ah, yes. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. So tell me about the series. This is exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it to premiere. We had so much fun at the premiere last week, getting to show some people a couple of the episodes. The show is about a reformed raincloud, Parker J. Cloud, and Parker teams up with a sea mailman. It's basically like the Jeff Bezos of the sea, but not evil. Very good guy, Angus Shackleton III. And Angus has a magic walrus called Russell. Ooh. And together they form the wackiest, most lovable postal service on Mount Middlemost, called the Middlemost Post. Their ship crashes on top of Mount Middlemost, and they start this business, and they just go on all these wild adventures, and Parker is just absolutely bonkers and full of energy and is pretty naive, so they get into a lot of hot water together. Ooh. And it's packed with so much heart and humor, and we've just had so much fun recording it over the past year, so I can't wait for people to see it.
I think that's really cool because obviously you're known because you are hilarious.
Super big celebrity, yeah.
Yes, probably one of the most famous people I've ever seen in all of my life. So I'm so nervous right now.
Stop, I'm dead.
But you also do have heart. So it's also like, good to kind of add that into it, because sometimes, especially with comedians, people think that they're just funny all of the time, but you're still an emotional being. You're not, a circus clown. You still have feelings and heart. So I love that that's also a part of the show.
Of course. Yeah, it's a big part of the show. I mean, every episode you do really see the full spectrum of emotion, which is really cool because, the jokes come from oftentimes hard places, or you go through hard things then eventually, that's the reason I do comedy, because it's like, making jokes out of some of these hard things is the only way sometimes I know how to process, and it's just so funny being with Nickelodeon. Because growing up, I watched SpongeBob, and I used to like tell a joke. Like I was a gymnast growing up, and I kind of sprouted into womanhood a SpongeBob square figure, or at least that's what my friends used to say. And I used to be so embarrassed by it. But then when I learned to just like laugh about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? This is my body. I love it. But Parker has there's a lot of emotion. It can't just be like joke all the time. You gotta, there's some ebb and flow. So there's a lot of realness to the character and to Angus and Russell and the adventures they go on and the people they meet. So I think people will be surprised because it's not just a show for kids. I think parents will maybe overhear and be like, oh, I gotta watch this.
But I think that's important as well because, so much of what we see, especially in the children's space, is just entertainment. There aren't necessarily those life lessons there as well. So it's pretty incredible. Yeah. That's what this series is doing as well.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I know I have a nephew and a niece, and those are probably the only kids I know. And, I know one other child influencer that I'm going to send a Middlemost Post box to, but we've just been recording. They're like, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? Because they watch Bubble Yuppies or something like that, and which I've heard kids love. And I'm so excited to see how they react to this and how much of the show and the jokes that they process. Because when you watch, an animated show as a kid, and then you go back as an adult, and you're like, oh, I had no idea that's what they were saying. It's entertaining and this show is so bright and colorful, and it's magical, but there's so much packed into it that it'll be fun to see what different levels of people take from it, I think.
I love that. And for you, obviously, every episode is different and there's almost like a message that comes out of each episode. But for you, what do you think the overall message is of, of the series?
Well, I think the overall message is, Parker really represents the rain cloud after the storm. the rain cloud,
The
the rainbow.
rainbow.
Parker represents the epic storm. No, Parker represents the rainbow after the storm. And I think, you know, in recording this the past year, like Middlemost really got me through the pandemic. And I think this show is just the joy and the humor and the heart that people really need after a really hard year. Another thing I really love about Parker and the show in general is that Parker is, you know, is in its little rainbow unitard and can transform whenever, wherever, which I think is just such a cool message for kids to see. It's like, okay, you can be whatever you want, whenever you want. Don't worry, don't try to fit into anyone's box. Like, just love people and try to spread joy and make people happy and be there for your friends and family and love. You know, my mom always says, like, I think we were all put on this earth to help people. And I just think that's like such a big message of the show, is that, like, you know, they form this kind of misfit Toylands group and they all help each other out in weird ways. And I wish I would have had a show like this growing up, where it was like, oh, you don't have to be like necessarily a boy or a girl, or you don't, you know, you can do whatever you want and be whatever you want. It's however you feel in the moment, as long as, you know, you're not hurting anyone, you know, just following your heart and what you feel is right. So I think that's something really special about the show and really cool.